Hey guys, how's it going? John here again. Hey, I wanted to give a little tip on doing something that I did to my house that most of the time when people move, they end up with the same dilemma I had. And that was locks. Whole lot of locks. Every door had a doorknob lock and a deadbolt lock. The problem was, I also had a security or a storm door with a lock. So every storm door had its own key. So I got 4 doors, a front door, a back door, there's a side door, and then there's a garage door. There was a key for all the doorknobs, then there was a key for 2 of the deadbolts, and another key for another deadbolt. So if you got 4 storm doors, 4 storm doors, a key for the doorknobs and 2 keys for the deadbolts, that's 7 keys for your house. That's just stupid. So one thing I decided to research was how to change the locks myself. So I talked to a locksmith. It was a cost $200 to $300 to rekey all the doors, and we only paid to do the doorknobs, which was still a different kind of lock, and the deadbolts, which was a different kind of lock. So we still had a key for the doorknobs and a different key for the deadbolts, and then 4 keys for the storm doors. So the first thing I did is I researched what kind of locks are in the storm doors. And the locks were made by Schlage, or a Schlage kind of key that looks kind of like this, is what all the storm doors were. They had the same pattern on the key that Schlage has. The deadbolts were also Schlage, but the doorknobs were something different. So I did some research, and I'm gonna go over how to rekey all of your locks to 1 key. And then you only have to carry 1 key with you. It'll work for the storm door, it'll work for your deadbolt, and it'll work for the doorknob. So the first thing you have to do is decide what you want. Since all my storm doors were Schlage and the deadbolts were Schlage, it would be more economical to go with Schlage, because then all I got to do is mess with the doorknobs. If they're quick set, then you can go with quick set. Quick set has a new, pretty cool little way of rekeying your locks. I think it's quick set. It might be a different manufacturer. That you stick a little pin in, and then you can stick in a key and reset the lock to that key. Most of the other ones aren't that easy, and most on the market aren't that easy. You got to go out and buy a new lock. But I'm going to show you with Schlage how to rekey everything to 1 key. And the first thing you got to do is you can go on Amazon and you can buy this little kit. Let me go ahead and move this camera in so you can get a good close look. All right, so this is the kit. You open this kit up, and this does not come with the kit. I'll show you how you use this, but this is a valuable tool. You can find it on Amazon. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. It's like a key wrench or something like that. But when you look for key relocking parts and stuff like that on Amazon, you'll see this will come up in the list. It has 2 different kind of tips on it. One of them is really, really larger pins, and then on the back side there's really small ones. This is for the Schlage, and I think the big one is for quick set. They don't have it marked, but you can just you'll be able to look at it to see it. So what it comes with, I'll take this little cover off. Comes with a guide that shows you everything. That's not, it makes it pretty simple. You have this little wrench, or key guide, sorry. It's a gauge that allows you to tell what kind of pins you need. And the best way is you take your key, and if you have a key here, try to put it on a white background. You know, you see all the teeth, and it's the indents between each tooth is what you want to measure. So what you do is you start all the way at the large end. You rest it right inside the notch. Then you just slide it till it stops. And you look for the number that's right on it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a 5. So when you're doing keys, the notches, they go from left to right. And most keys, sometimes they have the number written right on the key. If you see on this one, it says 55875. So that first number was a 5. That's this first notch. So when you hold this over, put it in, slide it down till it stops on a 5. Go to the next notch. It stops on a 5. So we had that number was 55875. So the third notch, bring it all the way down, it stops on an 8. And then the next one stops on a 7. And the last one stops on a 5. This right here, 55875, is the actual, that's this key for the lock. Now, granted, this key doesn't work for my house because technically I can take this number, and if I had one of those key making machines, I can actually make me a key exactly like this. So that's how you measure. The other thing is, in this, I'll show you what this is later. Each one of these, you have a top pin and a bottom pin. And I'll show you later the difference. Usually, if you're rekeying Schlage locks, you don't need to mess with the top pins. They usually just stay where they're at. They're usually just the same size. These are the top pin springs, or they call cylinder springs. And then these guys over here are the top pins. You have a top T-pin, a top pin number 3, cylinder cap pin, which I'll show you that later. And that's pretty much it. The rest are bottom pins, and this is a cylinder spring, and this is for removing caps. These are caps, I'll show you that too. And then the T-top springs, which you're not going to mess with them either. So you have your kit. You can find it on Amazon. Just Schlage keying kit 40-134. And that's a pretty good size kit. I mean, I had a lot of locks, so it helps to have it. Just remember, when you rekey a lock, all the pins that you take out of the old lock, you're going to go ahead and put in this kit. So it will add to it, depending on which ones you got. So here, this is a quick set. Now, obviously, my Schlage key's not going to fit. I don't even have the key for it. But if you take this and you slide it over here, this fits for quick set. Maybe not. No, it actually fits. You just turn and keep turning, because I'll show you there's a pin in here. See, there's a pin right here. That, if I take this out, that catches on one of those notches. And that's what, when it screws in, that's what locks it in place. So you can take this pin out. As you can see, this pin is flat on one end, has a little notch on the other. Schlage doesn't have, it has a notch on both ends. Then you tap a little bit and you have a spring that comes out. Now this spring for a quick set is completely different. I can get my fingers on it because they're small. I don't know if you can see, there's like little tighter wound coils in the middle. Kind of get it so it's under the background of my hand. There's tighter wound coils in the middle. So I'm not going to take this all the way apart. We're going to put that back. And with the quick set, the end of this pin that's not recessed, or what do you call it, cambered or tapered, it's just flat, that goes on the inside. And you can see it's spring loaded. Then this goes on top with a notch that's in a washer. Oops. See if I can get this back on. Notch that's in a washer. I need it to kind of be careful. Hang tight. Slide it down. Now you can get it started a little. And then slide this over the shaft. And then start to tighten it until it tightens. And then that little pin will kind of be recessed. You want to loosen it until it snaps into place. There you go. Now this one we're not going to mess with because it's a quick set. And I don't even have the key. You have to have the original key. So here I have a Schlage. So this is one of those digital locks. I'm going to lay it down. If you look in the back, you have two screws. This screw holds this entire assembly in. You don't need to take that screw out. You'll see there's a plastic ring that goes around and it's held by that screw. You take that screw off, that plastic ring comes off, and then the lock assembly comes out. You don't need to do that. You only need to take this screw that's recessed inside the lock. You take that out. Oops. You take that screw out, and then you can just grab this pin and pull the lock out. And the rest of it stays intact. There's nothing else inside there that's an actual lock. The only thing you need to worry about is this. Now, if you look on this Schlage, on this quick set, you see this metal cap? That's where the top pins are. That's what's inside this set here, what they call removable caps. That little cap is that cap there. If you need to set the top pins, because sometimes you have multiple pins. You have a key that has ridges on both sides. That you can set the top pin and the bottom pin. We're not going to do that. With Schlage, they have it recessed and actually set. You can't remove the top pins through this way, but I'll show you how it will come off. So we have the same thing. This cap, it's got the little pin inside there. You can see it's locked down. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our key. So right now, this lock is keyed. I keyed it to my house. So I'm going to pop my key in, and you can see I can just turn it freely. But what you want to do, when you stick the key in, it's always going to be lined up bottom to top to the top pins, because that's the way it's lined up when it's locked. So you stick your key in and you turn it 180 degrees all the way around so that your top pins are now at the bottom of the key. Now you take your little wrench, you stick it in, and we're going to go ahead and loosen it up and pop it out. We're just going to leave that there. And I'll show you the notches. Well, I can show you right now. You take this off. This is the cap. And then inside it, you have, this is the pin that goes all the way through the door to the deadbolt that you turn with your finger. It has, this one, Schlage puts a little notch in it so that it goes through the deadbolt and to the knob. And then you have this washer that actually goes around both sides of this pin. So it usually goes like that. And then this has a notch on both ends. So it can set anywhere on the other side of that ridge. If I can get close enough. So it's gonna sit. Whoops. I almost messed that up. Gotta put this on first. So this will go here. And then the washer goes on. I'll show you when I put it back together. So, now we have the lock taken apart. And again, just like the quick set, we have this pin. But like I said, on the Schlage, you see it has the little recessed tip on both sides. And that is these little pins here in your kit. So if you lose one, don't panic. Then inside, you have a small spring. You can see it doesn't have those tight coils in the middle, and those springs are right here. Cylinder cap pin spring is what it's called. This is the cylinder cap, and that's the cylinder cap pin, and that's the cylinder cap pin spring. Now, this is where this comes in handy. Now that I have the key in place, my pins are up here, because remember I rotated 180 degrees. My top pins are still in here. These top pins are all spring loaded. I don't want to mess with the top pins. So you take this, and you see how it has a notch in here to replace, sorry about that, it has a notch in here to replace top pins. You line it up, I'll show you in a minute, and then you can replace the top pins one at a time as you slide it down. So, but what you do is you turn it so that it's sideways, opposite of your top pins. You line up the cylinder, and then you start backing the cylinder out as you're pushing in this plastic tool. And what that's going to do is it's going to slide all the way through. And now it's going to hold your top pins in place with their spring. And you can set that down and not have to worry about it. Here is all your bottom pins. If I move the key, you see how they pop up? Yeah, they move. Let's see if I can turn it like this. If I have the key inserted all the way, you'll see that they're nice and flat. They're level with the top of the cylinder. So now I need to replace these pins to match this key. And like I said, they go left to right. So here's my key, and here's my pins. I need to take these pins out. Now you want to take them out one at a time. I'm not going to tell you these numbers because this is the key to my house. So I'm just going to pop them out. There you go. 5 pins, and then you can pull your key out. Set these pins aside. We'll put them back inside here once we're done. All you have to do is just measure them, each one, with what's already in there. So now we take our new key, stick our new key in, and we know our number on the side of the key, 55875. So if I grab a 5, actually need two of them. You'll see the pin has a pointed end on one end and a flat end on the other. You put the pointed end towards the key. So there's a 5, and there's a 5, 8, 7, 5, and get an 8. Again, they're a little longer, has a pointed end on it. 7. Get the pointed end down. And then 5. 5, 5, 8, 7, 5. Now you notice my pins, as I move them back and forth, got the key inserted all the way, they're nice and flat. If they're too high or too low, if they're not right along the edge, then you maybe had the wrong size in the little holes here, the little pukas here, that and you might have had the wrong size pin. So you want to make sure that they're all nice and level and flat. You can see that that's right along the edge. So now you take this back and you start sliding it in, and all you do is just push it all the way through till you have that. Now I should be able to turn my key all the way around, and that's good. So I'm going to show you now the top key. And I'm going to actually let one of them come out. So if I back this out, and you got to do this slowly or else they'll pop out and go crazy. I'm going to let one come out. There it goes. So you can see, I'm just going to bring this out just a little bit more. I'm going to let it fall out. And then there's a spring right there. Now you can see inside there, should be able to see, there's a hole where that came out of. And all it is this little pin and this copper spring. That's these springs right up here in the top. To put it back, it's kind of difficult if you were to do it all by yourself. I mean, if you were just to do it. But one way you can do it is you flip this around backwards and then put it in with this curved end flat against the top pins. You don't want the notch. You don't want the notch to be lined up with the bottom pins. You want the flat portion. Then we'll go ahead and slide it all the way through. Ooh, almost forgot my pins. One of them dropped out. That's all right. We'll put it back in. Okay, now we can set this aside. Now, here, you bring this down so that this notch is on the top, and you get just to access the hole. So now what you want to do, take your spring, you just line it up in the notch, just like that, and then kind of just tap it a little bit and line it up till it falls in. Then take your pin and set that up. See how it's lined up? Now all you got to do is you can just take a screwdriver and you want to squeeze down, kind of bring it up a little bit to it so it's lined up. There we go. Get it lined up and then push it through. Now I fixed the top pin. It's in there. Now I take this again. Make sure again it's 90 degrees from here. Here's my top pins. Here's my bottom pins pointing up. You always, this notch goes away from the key. There's a notch. Let me put this down so you can see this. There's a notch on the bottom here. That goes away from the key. So you always want to line it up right. Then go ahead and set this in here. See how that's lined up with the bottom, this notch? You don't want it like that. You want to make sure that this flat edge is as farthest out as possible to keep those pins in place while you roll this back in. That's the only time you do it like this, is to replace the top pin. So you can use that notch to let set the pin in. So we'll go ahead and slide this in. Get it in there, and then just push it all the way through. Come on, there you go. And make sure our key turns freely, which it does. Okay, now the fun part, because this thing is this thing can be such a pain. We put our little spring back into this hole. And then we take our pin, put our pin back in. Make sure it bounces freely. Now we put this. Remember, we have to line the opening up. It doesn't have to be in any particular place, just as long as it's not, as long as the pin is in the opening. And then you have so there you gotta have it like that. Whoa, come on now. Make sure that we're got this lined up. Come on. You can try to hold it and then drop this down on top. And then you still want to hold it while you put the wrench on. Line it up. Push that pin down. Don't get it cross-threaded. Just take your time with it. And then tighten it. And then come back. That's too tight. I want to go back it up just one notch. There you go. Now my key turns nice and... if you feel some restriction, kind of back it off one more notch, which I'm going to do. I'm going to back it off one more because it just feels a little tight. You just twist it a little bit and then do it with your hand, and you'll hear it click into place. There. That's nice and loose. Then we take our lock, take our key out, drop our lock back in place. Right there, just slides right back in the groove. Take our screw that holds it in place. And you just tighten it all the way down. This only holds that lock in place. It does not tighten up how it sets or how the key. So you can turn it in, so now it turns freely. So we are good to go. That's it. Now if you do Schlage locks, you can replace every lock in your house with just one key. Deadbolts, security locks, storm doors. I mean, some storm doors don't have any locks at all, so you don't have to worry about those. Most like the heavy-duty aluminum storm doors that come from like Lowe's or Home Depot, they have locked doors. Most of them that I've found have the same type of key as a Schlage. The best way to find out is take your key that works for your door and see if it fits. It's not going to open it, but it may, if it fits comfortably into the lock, then it may be the same manufacturer. Then all you got to do is take it apart and see. Once I took my storm door lock apart, I saw that it was the same type of lock. The key fit. When I took that the lock cylinder off, it was the exact same lock cylinder. So I was like, I wonder if this will work. And I went ahead and rekeyed it with the pins for my lock. And that was it. It worked like a champ. So if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comment section. If you have any comments, leave your comments. Subscribe. If you don't like it, I don't have a problem with it. I just thought I'd do a lot of these videos because nowadays we have the technology today to do most of this stuff ourselves. I'm sorry if you're in the business as a locksmith. I mean, you still have a family to feed. You still got to take care of your family and make your business. But I got to take care of mine too. And I'm going to try to find the cheapest way to get things done so I don't have to worry about paying it out. So again, have any questions, leave them. You want to subscribe. Have a good one.